Hey guys, this is Zach, and today we're going to talk about the power off stall in the Diamond DA40. So if you have experience with stalls other than in the Diamond, it was probably in something like a Cessna 150 or a Cessna 172, and really it's the same principle, but there's a few minor differences being in the Diamond. And one of the big differences is that I think it's easier to do in the Diamond versus other aircraft. So anyway, let's talk about the power off stall, why we do it and how we do it. Imagine, if you will, that we're on short final and we're coming in and we're getting lower and lower. Here I've got my toy wood airplane. This represents our Diamond. We're getting lower and lower and we're starting to slow down, and before we know it, we realize we're a little bit too low to the runway from where we are. So instead of adding power like we should, we start pulling up to extend our distance that we get to the runway. And as we start pulling up, obviously our speed's gonna start going down, and because we've got flaps, the flaps also help us to slow down, or cause us to slow down. We start pitching up and we get to that high angle of attack, high attitude situation. And before we know it, we hear that stall horn and the plane starts to stall. Now, God forbid this happens on a short final or near the ground. We need to know what we have to do to get the plane to recover from that stall. We have to know what the plane's gonna do before the stall. We have to know how to recognize the stall. So we're actually gonna go at least 1,500 feet AGL. Here in our area in Michigan or at Kalamazoo, we're gonna go to 3,000 feet. And we're gonna intentionally stall the aircraft. So essentially we're just setting up like we're on the downwind, passing the threshold of the runway, and we're powering back. We're gonna slow the aircraft down, we're gonna add those flaps, and we're gonna pretend we're going down to the runway. As we start slowing down, putting the flaps down, we're gonna lower the nose because we don't wanna stall too early. Remember, those flaps really cause us to slow down. Adding flaps create a lot of drag, slowing the plane down, and so we gotta keep that nose down to keep our airspeed up. Now, what I will do is I'll look outside, I'll find a road that is maybe parallel with us, and say, that's gonna be my runway, that's where I'm going to land. The next step is what I call the stupid pilot. So, we don't intentionally do this, when it happens in real life, God forbid it happens, but I call it the stupid pilot because the pilot is not paying attention to the airspeed, they're not paying attention to their pitch. This easily could happen in a real life scenario. Maybe you're getting overwhelmed with the radios, you're trying to find the runway, who knows what could be happening. So, in this situation, we're actually gonna start pulling up on the yoke just slightly and slowing that aircraft down even more. And now, what we have to do is make sure not to let the nose go back down. Every time the nose goes down, it delays the stall. And in this situation, we wanna get the plane to stall sooner than later. We don't wanna sit there and keep going back and forth with the yoke. So as we slow down, we're gonna start pitching the aircraft up. And at this point, we're gonna just be just a few inches on the cowling above the horizon. You'll start hearing that stall horn, and at this point we need to start using a little bit of right rudder and keeping the wings level. The plane's gonna get mushy and more uncontrollable, but that's all the more important to make sure that we're keeping it straight and continuing to pull back. Now, in the Diamond, it's a little bit different than the Cessna. In the Cessna, generally, the nose will drop, and that's the stall. The stall's been initiated. In the Diamond, it'll just start buffeting, and it's really hard to get that nose to drop. So when that buffeting starts and the nose starts coming down slightly, that is going to be your stall. You're going to go full power, straight and level, and most importantly, right foot. We need to be aware of spins. To keep that spin from happening, we're keeping our wings level, and we're using right foot and going straight and level to pick up airspeed to keep that spin from happening. Now, as we go full power, right foot, and straight and level, we're keeping that nose from going up. If we start climbing again, well, then we'll start losing airspeed. We need to keep the plane straight and level to pick up that airspeed, so that way we can use that energy to start climbing and putting our flaps up. So we're gonna go straight and level, and then as soon as our airspeed is safe again, we're going to go up with our first notch of flaps. As soon as you get that first notch of flaps in, check your airspeed again, and then initiate a slight climb. Continue climbing and watch your airspeed, and then put the rest of your flaps up, watch your airspeed again, and climb out even more. It's essential that you make sure you have safe airspeed as you initiate those flaps going up and climbing out. We could have what's called a secondary stall if we do it incorrectly. if we go full power right foot but start climbing again, we then might lose airspeed and then go into that secondary stall, which we want to avoid. That's what can cause issues on the recovery, is that secondary stall. Again, please use right foot. It's essential to keep that right foot down because we have those left turning tendencies, especially when we're in a high pitch, high attitude situation. And it's exaggerated on a recovery for a power off stall. So we're now gonna go ahead and jump on the plane. We're gonna go take off, we're gonna climb up, and then I'll do a demonstration on how to do the power off stall in the Diamond.
So we're gonna go ahead and set up for a power off stall. A power off stall. So, first of all, we're going to do our clearing turn. We're gonna do a 90-degree turn to the left. And it's not gonna be a steep turn or anything, it's just gonna be a nice easy turn. We're clearing the area, we're looking around. All right, I've turned to south. Originally I was on west. Looks like we're clear over here, so now I'm gonna go back to the north. I'm gonna do a 180 now. All right, I've turned back to the north, looking around, make a full look. Looks like we're clear. I don't see any other aircraft. All right, I'm gonna go back to west, my original direction. So I've cleared a full 360 of area. I've seen everything. There looks like there's no other aircraft. Now for the power off stall, we're simulating the approach, right? So I go back to straight and level. I pull my power all the way back. Put my prop all the way forward. So after we cross the threshold on the downwind, that's what we'll do. Now I'm going to go back to 1800 RPM with my throttle. Remember, we got our prop all the way forward, so we now control the RPMs with the throttle. All right, I'm lowering my airspeed. I'm now below 108, preferably below 100, so I can add my first notch of flaps. I'm now in my white arc, meaning we're in the flap range, so I put all flaps down. Now I'm descending, so I need to pitch down like I'm going to the runway. If we continue to pitch up, we'll start stalling too early. We don't want to do that yet. We want to kind of take a minute to breathe. Looking outside, now I'm looking at a road I'm going straight down, so I'm going to pretend I'm actually going to land on that road. That's my runway. Now, I do what I call a stupid pilot. The stupid pilot is not paying attention to the airspeed. I start pitching up nice and easy. Not a yank, just kind of pulling. Oh, I hear that stall horn, and as it happens, I continue pulling. I don't want my nose to go down. I start getting that buffeting, and boom, that's the full stall. Straight and level now, full power, right foot, all at the same time. I'm watching my airspeed. As soon as it's, I'm going to go first notch of flaps. Once I got those flaps in, I'm going to start pitching up for a climb. And my airspeed is safe. I'm climbing, and I'll put all flaps in. I still have full power and full prop, so I'm going to pull that power back. Remember, 25 squared. Continue climbing. Now, a lot of people, they just want to go down and pick up airspeed or stay straight and level. As soon as it's safely possible, we need to start climbing, because if we're simulating a stall that was near the ground, we want to climb the heck out of there. We don't want to be near the ground anymore.
Roger. Climb maintain 3000, turn left heading 270, vectors for the RNAV approach, runway 17.
And I'm going back to 21 on my power and 22 on my RPM. And that's how we do a power off stall.